Chicago, 2004. In the East Lakeview neighborhood, an area known for its nightlife and inclusivity, lived 31-year-old Kevin Clewer. Originally from Rockford, Illinois, Kevin had moved to this part of the city, often called Boys Town, because it gave him a sense of belonging and safety. Friends described him as the kind of person who lit up every room, outgoing, warm, with a laugh that was infectious. He loved bringing people together, making everyone feel welcome. On the night of March 23rd, 2004, Kevin went out with a friend, John, for a typical night of bar hopping. They moved between popular gay bars on North Halsted Street, places like Sidetrack, Roscoe's, and finally Little Jim's, one of the first and oldest gay bars in the area. It was at Little Jim's where Kevin met someone new, a man who introduced himself as Fernando. Witnesses later described him as a Hispanic male, mid-20s, around 5'7", slim build, with a noticeable Spanish accent. Kevin and Fernando seemed to hit it off immediately. They were seen laughing, talking closely, clearly attracted to each other. Sometime after John left for the night, Kevin and Fernando walked out together, heading just a couple of blocks toward Kevin's apartment on North Elaine Place. That would be the last time Kevin was seen alive in public. Kevin lived in a third-floor apartment, sharing the space with a roommate who had stayed in that evening. Around 4 a.m., the roommate recalled hearing voices, multiple people, though he couldn't make out exactly how many. He later heard the door close, but didn't know if someone had left or entered. By morning, when he left for work, nothing seemed out of place. But the following day, concern began to grow. Kevin missed an important work meeting, something totally out of character. When calls went unanswered, his parents were contacted. His father, Jim, decided to drive over and check on him. What he found was every parent's worst nightmare. Inside the bedroom, Kevin was discovered lying face down, covered only by a robe. He had been stabbed more than 40 times in the back. The brutality of the attack shocked even seasoned investigators. Police immediately focused on the mysterious man known as Fernando. A composite sketch was created based on eyewitness descriptions and distributed throughout Chicago. But it took months before it was released publicly, something that angered many in the LGBTQ+ community, who accused the police of dragging their feet because of Kevin's sexuality. Kevin's parents, Jim and Pamela, refused to let the case fade into silence. They printed thousands of flyers with Fernando's sketch, marching through Chicago Pride parades and speaking publicly about their son's murder. Jim, who had once struggled to accept Kevin's identity, transformed into a passionate advocate for gay rights after his death. Tragically, the grief became too much. Within a year, both parents passed away. Pamela from an aggressive cancer, and Jim from a sudden heart attack. Their surviving son, Ron, firmly believed the heartbreak of Kevin's unsolved murder contributed to their deaths. But the fight for justice didn't stop there. In 2020, Ron reignited the case using social media. He launched a campaign called Finding Fernando to bring the story to a younger generation online. The effort paid off. Just months later, he received a message from a woman who claimed she knew the man responsible. Her information included details never made public, confirming she was telling the truth. Detectives were finally able to identify Fernando, though that was never his real name. Investigators learned he was Puerto Rican, had fled to Puerto Rico shortly after the sketch went public in 2004, and had quietly returned to Chicago on multiple occasions over the years. He had prior arrests, for theft and prostitution, but nothing violent in his record. Then, in 2023, new evidence suggested Kevin's murder may not have been a one-man crime at all. Police now believe 2 men targeted Kevin that night as part of a robbery scheme, luring intoxicated men from bars, possibly drugging them, and then robbing them. But in Kevin's case, something went horribly wrong, escalating into a brutal killing. Nearly 2 decades later, Kevin's murder remains unsolved. His brother Ron continues to fight for answers, keeping Kevin's story alive through campaigns, memorials, and reward offers for information. Kevin Clewer's story is not just about a violent crime. It's about family, loss, and the fight for justice that has stretched across decades. And until those responsible are held accountable, the haunting mystery of Fernando still casts a shadow over Chicago's history.